Hi there, welcome to Mike's Collection. I'm Mike, and the part of my collection that I'm going to be talking about today is this 6-inch Snake Eyes figure, which is from Hasbro's brand new 6-inch G.I. Joe classified toy line. Now, generally, I like to do episodes of Mike's Collection usually once a week. They vary in length from anywhere from a half hour to an hour, sometimes even an hour and a half. And I like to think of it as kind of a weekly show that if you're a fan of toys, you can tune in and watch. However, I've had a few people tell me that these things are just too long to sit through an entire episode. Also, when I check my analytics and it tells me the average watch time, a lot of time it's only like 15 minutes or so. So this here is going to be my first episode of a new kind of experiment where I'm just going to do a quick review of one figure, try and keep it under 5 minutes, try and hold your attention that long. And please let me know if you like this format or not. So if you do want to talk about this figure in a little bit more detail, I have already posted an episode where I talked about all 5 figures in the first wave of G.I. Joe Classified. So please check that out if you want a little bit more detail. I don't know yet if I'm going to do these individual reviews for each of the 5 figures. So for Snake Eyes, right here I've got the original Snake Eyes figure. So this one came out in 1982 in the very first wave of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. So that's when G.I. Joe was relaunched, because it used to be a 12-inch doll in the 60s, but they brought it back in the 80s in this new 3 3/4-inch format, and it was the first time that G.I. Joe was not just kind of a general army man, but a bunch of unique characters operating under the name G.I. Joe. So Snake Eyes here was originally the G.I. Joe team's commando, and then when a second version of Snake Eyes came out in 1985, that's when they really developed his ninja persona, and he came with his sword, and he came with his sidekick, Timber the Wolf. But yeah, this is the early version of Snake Eyes, and since this version, we've got about 70 additional versions. So there's all kinds, but generally he's a character that's clad all in black. He either has this little commando mask, which I don't know if you can see in great detail there, which is usually just a pair of goggles, or he has his kind of more iconic ninja visor, which is kind of like something you would see on a medieval knight. Okay, so let's take a look at Snake Eyes a little bit closer. So here you see his helmet. So he's got the visor, which is kind of signifies his ninja mode, I guess. And just the way it's designed, it's a little bit different from how it has looked in the past. This look is heavily borrowed from the design he had in the second live-action G.I. Joe movie, G.I. Joe Retaliation. So you can really see how this look was influenced by that. And not just the helmet, but also throughout the costume, such as these pieces here over his shoulders, this kind of harness he has. Again, all this is really borrowed from Retaliation, which I'm fine with because that was a really cool look. The costume design in the first live-action movie, Rise of Cobra, was pretty questionable, but I thought they did a great job in Retaliation, so I think that's a good place to draw influence from. There's a lot going on as far as the design goes. The original Snake Eyes was pretty plain and simple. Even the secondary ninja version, he didn't have a whole lot of detail, but this guy here, you can see he's got like lots of wrinkles, and there's texture to his pants here, so there's lots of design throughout. He's got lots of little straps, lots of kind of like piping through here. You can see little rivets or buttons. There's armor on his shoulders. There's just a lot of design. You can see the pockets sculpted in the back of his pants, little pouches, just a lot of great stuff. A lot of things going on there. Now, some of these pieces are separate. So like the belt, you can see there's a separate piece that's not sculpted to him, so you can slide that around. I don't think it's removable unless you cut it. Same as this bandolier here, which has got some grenades on it. Also some nice texturing detail and everything there. That is a separate piece. You could probably remove that. So he's got a backpack on here. So we're going to talk about his accessories right quick. So he's got this backpack, lots of little buckles, painted silver and everything. Nothing on the backpack opens up. You can see you pop that out just like the old vintage toys. There's a peg that goes in the hole in the back. Now, one thing that's nice is his bandolier also has a hole, so you can line those two up, and you plug that in, and that helps hold the bandolier into place. Sometimes when you had figures with a backpack and also kind of a satchel, you had to kind of put the satchel up either above or below the backpack, which could be kind of annoying, kind of gets it out of place. So it's nice here that you have the option to line those two things up. So the backpack. So yeah, lots of nice detail on there. There's a sheath for his sword. And again, that's got a lot of cool textures too. And so that can be plugged in to the side of the backpack. There's a little hole here, so that's an option. You don't have to do that. I actually haven't done this yet, but I assume you can just plug the sheath, directly into his back. So you can do that if you like as well. The sword comes out. Nice looking sword, fits in there nice and snug. You don't have to worry about it falling out or anything. It's got a good hold on that. Now his gun, so this is his like primary weapon. It's not the Uzi that he is known to carry, so a lot of people might be disappointed with that. But it's not a bad looking gun, kind of a futuristic looking thing. Now you'll notice it has a peg on it. You could probably also plug that directly into his back. Let's try it. Yeah, so that works. But when I first saw the peg, I was thinking that, okay, you have the option to put the peg on the backpack so he can carry his gun around like that. So that's cool to have that option. Now he does come with a secondary gun, which can be holstered there on the side. So just a little pistol, and it actually has a silencer. So the silencer can be plugged on like so. So that's a little bit more realistic looking gun, and it's cool that the two pieces can be holstered right there on his thigh. And his final accessory is this one little knife, and so that can be sheathed there on his leg. Now, unfortunately, mine doesn't really fit in super snug, and I've seen another person reviewed online that said the same thing, so this seems to be a common problem. And no matter which way you put the knife in, whether it's that way or you flip around that way, it just doesn't really seem to fit, so you get some of the blades still showing there. So that's a minor quibble I have about this figure. But otherwise, I have very little to complain about. I think he looks great. The paint apps are minimal, as they should be on a Snake Eyes, but he does have some silver for the various buckles, and he's got some red every time his Ninja Arashikaji logo shows up, so you see it there on his belt. You see it again there on his harness. It was on his sword. And he's got little specks of red here on his like elbow pads. And then the one that seems a little odd is this bit of red on his forehead just above the face shield. I've never seen that on any other figures. I'm not sure why they went with that. I've seen some people really complain about it. It is a little bit distracting, but it's so small, you barely notice it. I don't think it necessarily looks bad, so that's fine. As far as articulation goes, all these G.I. Joe classified figures have a lot of articulation. So he moves at the ankle there. He's got a boot swivel, double jointed knees, so you can wrap his knee right around there. He's got another swivel on his leg. He's got a good movement there in the hips. Spins at the waist. He's got a kind of a torso crunch there. Ball jointed arms, lots of movement. He's got a swivel in the arm there. Double jointed elbow, so again, lots of movement. Allows Snake Eyes doesn't really have a gun where you need two hands, but some of the other Joes that have big rifles and stuff, you can actually hold them much better than the 3 3/4 inch Joes ever did. He swivels at the wrist. He's also got a joint at the wrist, so his hand can kind of move up and down a little bit. Ball jointed head. The neck moves forward as well as the head, so those are two separate pieces. You can also look up and look down, so that's nice. So yeah, lots of cool articulation on this figure. Great design. I'm really happy with it. So there you go. There is the 6-inch classified Snake Eyes figure. I don't know what more I can really say about it. I've probably already gone over my 5 minutes, which is what I wanted to keep this video at. So I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything else you would have liked to have seen me comment on, please maybe mention that in the comments, and I'll try and improve these for next time. As far as I want to just mention, probably my biggest complaint about this whole series is they don't have any display bases. It would have really been nice. Even if they were just generic bases, just something to help these guys stand up. But what would have been nice if they had bases that were character unique, kind of like all the figures did in the 25th anniversary line. But other than not having a base, I think this figure is super solid, one of the best Snake Eyes ever produced.